In the Victorian and Edwardian period, the operation of the front door of a country house like Sewerby Hall was far from simple. Like so much else in society at the time, it was governed by custom, rules and etiquette, and conduct at the front door could reveal much to the onlooker. Indeed, one advice manual warned householders that there is no surer indication of the manner in which a household is conducted than is conveyed in this: answering the door. 21st century visitors passing through the front door might notice the bell push mounted on the stonework of the doorway. This bell push, although no longer operating, was originally part of an electric doorbell system and is actually a relic of the hall's later 20th century history. However, to the left of the steps, mounted on the wall, it is possible to see the remains of the original bell pull. This is in the form of some mounts on the masonry and a single surviving bell crank just below the first decorative stone course. The bell pull most likely took the form of a metal rod hanging from the crank. This was physically attached by wires to a bell that would ring in the service wing of the house when pulled. Who actually operated the bell pull would depend on the caller and how they had arrived. If the guest was a lady visiting in the company of a footman, then the footman would operate the pull before climbing the steps and waiting outside the front door. In circumstances where someone called without a footman but in their own carriage, then the driver would ring the bell before returning to his seat. A visitor arriving in a hired carriage or cab would ring the bell themselves. When the bell rang, the staff would have been able to guess at the nature of the caller by the time of day. Charity callers, parcels and package deliveries would all come in the morning. People with business to discuss with the Grahams would come at noon, and ladies making morning calls could be expected in the afternoon, between 3 and 6 p.m. In a house like Sewerby Hall, the job of answering the door belonged to the footman, not the butler as one might expect. He would only answer the door in the mornings when the footman was engaged on his other duties, or if the footman was absent. When answering the bell, the footman was expected to open the door to its fullest. He would then stand in the doorway without holding either the door or the handle. If the caller was a lady without a footman, then he was expected to go to her to make inquiries as regards the purpose of her visit. If she was to be allowed in because Mrs. Graham was at home, then the footman would open the carriage door for her. If Mrs. Graham was not at home, then he would take her card. If the lady had sent her footman to the door, then he would take the inquiry there. Business callers would always be asked to take a seat in the hallway. They were never left to wait on the doorstep. If a man and woman arrived at the same time, the lady would always enter first. Multiple visitors would always be admitted together, as it was considered impolite to leave someone waiting at the door. Once across the threshold, the visitor would be taken in charge by the butler, who would be waiting in the hallway. He would conduct them to wherever they needed to be, and in the case of a lady paying calls, announce her at the drawing room.